Dum 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 dum. This is a video all about the Ghostbusters movie that just came out. If you'd like to know if it was good or bad, then stick around and I'll tell you, lad. And lasses, obviously, you know, it's not pigeonhole genders here. Okay, cool. Yeah, nice key change, but movie. Ghostbusters 2016 is a motion picture based on the 1984 motion picture of the same name. It stars Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, Melissa McCarthy. It's directed by Paul Feig. And do you know what? It's pretty good. Basic plot synopsis. Yep. If you've seen the first Ghostbusters, you get the structure already, but it is told in a different way, with very different characters who don't, quite thankfully, follow the pattern or template left by the original four characters. These are four brand new characters who all bring something new to it. They are very well developed within themselves.
There are similarities.
But you know, there will be. They have the same job, so they'll have to be able to perform certain functions. Essentially, Erin Gilbert, Kristen Wiig's character, wants to get her tenure as a professor of science, and unfortunately, she's shown up by her past coming back to haunt her in the form of a book she wrote with Abby, Melissa McCarthy's character back in the day, about ghosts. Abby's now teamed up with Gillian Holtzman, Kate McKinnon's character, highlight of the movie.
She's brilliant.
And the three of them begin to investigate paranormal incidents because they are rising suddenly. These devices are being found in specific parts of New York that are bringing the dead out to play, including in the subway where Leslie Jones's character Patty deals with it. And it just goes from there. The four unite. They get a secretary in the form of Kevin, played by Chris Hemsworth. And by that point, the movie clicks.
Yeah.
There is a very patchy first act to this film.
There's a lot of jokes that don't quite land. The editing's a little saggy. Some of the improv goes on a little bit too long. Some of the jokes work, but then because they carry on with another line or too many reactions, it then kills the joke originally. But that stuff all sorts of clears up by the time the four get together, and the rest of the movie is a pretty cool ride.
Yeah, that sums it up perfectly. I mean, it's tonally they're here, the film's here.
Yeah.
And then
they just go.
It sort of goes like, and when it hits
Lovely.
it works. It's not a perfect movie.
Oh no! It's got problems.
And I can't say I'm going to say off the bat, I'm never going to say it's a 5-star movie. I always have that reservation when it comes to a remake because it's kind of like, well, why? It's already been told. You're not really bringing anything new to the table unless you're John Carpenter's The Thing, which you pointed out before, which makes perfect sense. But this is the way this story would be told now.
Yeah.
It just is. It's the style of mainstream comedy in American cinema, although it doesn't fall into the pitfalls of things like The Hangover and Neighbours and stuff like that. It's very much its own beast. It does rely on a couple of occasions a little too heavily on your knowledge of the previous films, which is a shame because I don't think, the more I think about it, we were talking about it, I thought it was distracting, but the more I think about it, it's not too distracting, the references. However, the film could survive without them.
It's no more egregious than the Marvel movies banking on the audience's knowledge of Marvel comics.
I said it was a little. It's like there's sort of like there's a bit of sequel baiting, but I think that's more my problem with how Sony handle franchises rather than the way this film did it. But I agree, it's very akin to Iron Man, is what you said.
Yeah.
Like the Nick Fury thing, it's just sort of like a little thread and a little tag at the end. So do stick around after the credits. Let's talk cons, because I know a lot of people have watched us talk about this movie in the run-up, listening to the Fall Out Boy song, trying the Ghostbusters snacks. By the way, have a Twinkie. Wise decision. We were not looking forward to this movie, and I still agree with everything I thought beforehand, because I think the stuff that has put me off is the way the studio have handled it.
Yeah.
The stories of the making of this film, the way Paul Feig has handled himself in interviews, being very confrontational. Because there have been, it can't be avoided, there have been a series of detractors who are being misogynistic, sexist, racist. There are the loud minority who are being offensive.
Yeah.
But there are also people who are concerned because they have a passion and a love for the original films and they don't kind of want to see the potential for stories in this format, this universe, squandered. But I think those people, like us, because we were in that camp, will be pleasantly surprised. Yeah. You could have done this as a threequel. As a third movie.
Could have worked as a third movie.
Could have done as a third movie. So maybe I would love it even more if it was a threequel and they got rid of the whole starting the business and turned it into them developing the business. But then we would have lost some of the charm of this version. Yeah. So I'm thankful for it.
And I don't think there's necessarily anything inherently wrong with a remake or a reboot. They just tend to seem a bit unnecessary. But
if you bring something new to the table, that makes you go, oh, okay, you did that with the story again, like John Carpenter's The Thing, new direction, new version of that tale. This one isn't new enough to stand head and shoulders above, or maybe even with the original movie.
I don't think it's as good as the original two movies, but I think on its own, it's a very solid genre comedy. With a little bit of tightening up. I think it could be a 4, but for me, it's a solid high 3 out of 5.
3 stars?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Yeah. I agree. Solid 3 stars.
Yeah. I think
and that's not a bad thing. That's a 6 out of 10, and it's a solid 6 out of 10, and that's because what it does well, it does very well.
And I think if Paul Feig had been a bit crueler in the edit to some of his actors and gotten rid of some of the improv that sagged it a little bit,
maybe not cast Cecily Strong as the mayor's assistant.
The only performance in the movie we didn't like. The only one.
Because let's just rest all fears now.
Yeah.
What you saw of Leslie Jones in the marketing are the only instances in the movie where she is screaming, shouting, and being stereotypical. She's not. When you see the film, it's moments of panic, or she's gearing herself up.
And I think the movie's failing is really in the marketing on that, because
the way they've handled criticism openly, the way the marketing's played into the criticism, instead of just going, look, come watch the movie, then see what you think.
It's the way the trailers and the TV spots have taken things out of context, and Paul Feig has this problem with his movies. Paul Feig.
Yeah, Paul Feig, Figgity Feig.
Paul Feig has this problem.
Oh, Paul F.
With his movies. The Bridesmaids had the same problem, and now Ghostbusters has it. Is the trailers always misrepresent the final film, and that's exactly what's happened here. The way that Sony and Paul Feig have handled it has not helped.
No.
But this is absolutely a case of the trailers misrepresenting the film. Not that the film doesn't have problems, as we've said. It's got some sag to it, but that's only in the front third. And once it tightens up, it's a great ride.
Shortlist cons. Cecily Strong is playing it like it's a sketch.
Yeah.
References to the original movie can either distract or detract from how strong this movie is without them.
I didn't notice any of them enough to bother me.
Fair dues. I think it's whenever they showed up for me, I was just like, you don't need this. You're doing good on your own, guys. You don't need to back ref now.
None of that stuff bothered me, so that's your management. Very bit.
Villain is a little generic, but only in like the Marvel movie sense of like, he's not the focus. He's just the reason everybody gets together. And he plays it well enough, but he also gets played by another actor. Not spoiling anything. Chris Hemsworth is possessed by the villain. You saw it in the trailers. And when he plays it, it sort of takes it up a notch, and it works quite well. And also, one of the cameos is more than a cameo.
Yeah.
Let's call it Overkill Murray.
And it's that kind of point. After that cameo, the movie really finds its feet.
Yeah.
Really finds its feet.
Once it gets rid of that kind of element, it soars.
I don't think the movie's found its feet by that point, but that's the last bit of that saggy... sag.
Beg your pardon.
That's the last bit of that sag that then goes out the window, and that's when the movie... I didn't really have any problems with the rest of the movie after that. So...
Good points. Overall, film works really well. Action is directed very well. The horror, when it does play on horror elements, mostly earlier on in the film, is decent, but it excels more when it goes into the action set piece, especially toward the end.
Great cast.
Great cast. The 5. Like Kevin's one of the gang, but like the four Ghostbusters, they are superb. And here's the thing.
Props to Kate McKinnon. Particular props to Kate.
Highlight of the film. She's great. The stuff she could do with just a raised eyebrow is 10 times funnier than half of the improv gags from some of the characters in this movie.
She's got spectacular command of her face as an instrument for comedy. It's really good.
And amazing hair as well. And here's the thing. One thing we were very worried about with this movie as well is that obviously... One good thing that this film has always had from the outset is to encourage Hollywood to just stop sticking to formulas, let go of your inhibitions, and trust on casting tentpole blockbusters with female leads. let it happen. It can be done. It's been done in the past. It should continue to be done, and it should continue to be done more.
Yeah.
This film could have been the thing that broke that. Because if it was dreadful, it would have set back that. Because the way the exec mentality tends to work is that, that film didn't do well. Well, then it's just male blockbusters from now on.
Yeah.
Ultimately, to be fair, the only films I want to see are just good films. I don't care if it's a male, female in the lead. I don't care if it's a talking dog. I don't care. As long as the film is good. But representation in cinema is important because it's inclusive and it makes people happy. There's that picture from the premiere of that girl looking up at Kristen Wiig, and she's just enraptured by her.
Yeah.
She's amazed because here is a movie star in front of her, and that's great, and that's so brilliant. And luckily, I don't think this movie does anything to damage this going forward. In fact, if anything, I think it might help.
I think there might still be a bit of stink that might hurt this movie from the marketing and backlash. But
yes.
Hopefully, as assuming people like it like we do, enough word of mouth will get out there for it to then... Because I think word of mouth did the opposite for Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
It killed it stone dead, and all the buzz for it. Whereas, hopefully, there's a bit of a stink around the marketing for this. So hopefully, now it comes out, it's out a week early over here, isn't it?
Yeah, about 5 days early.
Yeah, so it's not out until the 16th in the States.
Yeah, the end of the week.
But it's out in the UK now,
which is an odd move because it seems like they've only done that to rack up some cash ahead of time, like they were panicking.
But maybe word of mouth will get out ahead of the American release from the UK, and that will help it because I think, although it does have its flaws, this movie deserves to be seen. And I don't think we can let this movie fail if we want more representation for women in cinema.
Yeah, but let's make it frank. If this film was crap, we still stand by that point, but we wouldn't say go see this movie.
Yeah, no. This is a good movie.
Luckily, it's good.
This is a good movie.
I'm so delightfully surprised.
I'm so happy we get to say that. I'm so happy we get to say this is a good movie.
For the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay. 15 minutes in, all right, okay. And then once the tones matched, about 20 minutes in, I was like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm sat in Ecto 1 with you. I'm taking this ride. I'm loving this. Special shout out to the Annie Potts cameo in particular.
Oh, wonderful.
Best cameo in the movie.
Wonderful.
Really nicely done. And my God, hasn't Ernie Hudson aged well? Black don't crack. It's a phrase for a reason. He's a handsome guy. Still my favourite Ghostbuster, though. Although, Holtzman... I would have a drink with her as well.
Holtzman is very, very cool.
So, Ghostbusters. 2016. 3 stars. Solid 3 stars. Have you seen it yet? Tell us what you think below in the comments.
It's worth seeing, guys.
Keep your eye on where this goes in the next week. I'd be intrigued to find out what the opinion is next week.
Yeah, well...
Because so far the reviews that have come out from the press have been mixed.
Yeah, well,
they have been yay, but those yay reviews have been a little aggressive toward the naysayers.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it should be like, guys, look. I mean, it should be like what we've just done. Guys, it's a good film.
It's okay.
It's worth checking out.
It's okay.
Go check it out.
We will go into more detail on this on the Big Damn Cast later this week.
Yes, this Friday.
We will take a deep dive. We will get into spoilers. We will really get into what we did and didn't like about the movie in great detail.
We're going to talk ghosts, we're going to talk cameos, we're going to talk bizarre little references. We're also going to talk Ghostbusters, the 1984 original, Ghostbusters 2, the real Ghostbusters, Extreme Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters the video game, and we might even look into a few of the potential films that could have happened. Yeah. And then we're going to go into full-on spoiler territory for this movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, are we afraid of no Ghostbusters movie? Turns out, no.
Bustin' makes me feel good!
Still means nothing. You pick up that Twinkie, you don't mess up my office.
Look how green that is.
I'm so glad you didn't eat this before the movie, because we were put off the film from the Twinkie alone.
Oh, God. That's a Twinkie, alright.
That's a terrible Twinkie.
You worthless piece of slime! I could eat another one of those, I guess.
Hand out. Enjoy.
Yay!